Besties, I have a confession. I've been working on this video since November. I asked you all what your best and worst books were of 2024. I've always found it fascinating how opposite people's opinions can be. I've set out to read your most divisive books. So I'm sure you're all dying to know what you all in consensus thought your best and worst books were. There were very popular books that showed up on both, but some books were like just really hated or just really loved and they didn't really have any crossover. So really my only rule was that it had to be mentioned at least once on both lists. And so I think next year when I do this video, I will probably limit it to new releases from like 2025. So that way there will be more commonalities. You know when you say a word enough times and you're like, is that a word? I don't know. Let's get into the list of the 4 books that I'm going to be reading in this video. The first one was one of the books that showed up the most on the best list. Like this was one of the top books. I think it might have been the top book. And that is The Will of the Many by James Islington. There were 4 people who said that they loved this bitch. And there was 1 person who was a hater. And that was enough for me to go, I gotta find out more about this. Then we have a book that was a little more controversial, and that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. There were 2 people that said this was their favorite, and 3 people who said they didn't like it. Up next, we have a book that honestly didn't have the numbers, but I just kind of wanted to read it, and that is First Lie Wins. There was 1 person who loved this, and 1 person who hated it. And then finally, we have Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. That's a hard name to say. Hannah Bonham Young. This is a romance that I've heard a lot of people say is very good. This was also one of the most popular books that showed up. There were 3 people who lived, laughed, loved, and there was 1 person who died, cried, hated. I don't think that worked as well as I thought it was going to. I have seen you looking at the chair that I'm sitting in right now. Like I see you through the screen. You're like, that is such a cute chair. It looks so comfortable. I need to know more about it. Like, where did you get that? And you are so in luck because today's video is sponsored by FlexiSpot. This beauty is the FlexiSpot XRC7 recliner chair. And it is in fact my new favorite place to read. It is so comfortable and spacious. I can literally sit in it, crisscross applesauce. There's also a secret pocket on the side where you can keep books and snacks. Another top thing that I love about it that really adds to the comfortability is that it supports up to 350 pounds, which I find very inclusive. I can be a little restless when I'm sitting, so I really enjoy that I can rock back and forth in it and that it also swivels 360 degrees. This very luxe material is PU leather, which makes it very easy to clean. When I got sent this chair, I immediately knew that I wanted it to go in my office. It's not quite in its final form yet because I need to add a rug and I also want to add a lamp back here. If you're interested in getting your very own FlexiSpot XRC7 recliner chair, I highly recommend you check out my description because they have a sale going on and it's gonna be good. So all the details will be down below and you can follow my link and it will be a great time for you. Like, you will not regret getting this chair. It is so comfortable. Besties, I fear that it has been over a week and I already started The Will of the Many and I haven't updated you guys. This is an obscenely long book. Like, it is well over 600 pages. And I did think to myself a couple of times, I should stop and tell the besties what I'm thinking of the book so far. But then I just didn't do that. I wish you could have experienced the way I was feeling like as it was happening. But to be honest, I have liked this book the entire way through. So it's not like my thoughts have really changed. I just really like it, which is a huge surprise to me. I just feared that this was boy fantasy. There are just some books that I have a prejudice against for no reason. Like Red Rising is another one. You might get mad at me for saying that, but it is my truth and I should be allowed to speak my truth. So in this book, we're following our main character, Viz. He is a runaway because we're living in a society called the Hierarchy. They're basically like a fictional fantasy version of the Roman Empire, and they have slowly but surely been conquering the entire world because they have this philosophy of people like being on top in this hierarchy and then people being lower, and everybody has a rank. I'm having a moment where I'm like, okay, this is hard to describe. I will say, one of my patrons said this. This is basically a magical version of an MLM. Just picture a pyramid scheme. So people's will from the lower levels are used to power each person at each level. And there's this whole philosophy in the hierarchy that anyone can become someone at the top. And our main character, Viz, is a runaway. And at the start of this, he's 17 and he is living in an orphanage and working at this like prison where they keep all of the lowest level will people that they take their will from. This senator comes through who's from like the military branch of the government. He is looking for someone to train up to send to this academy because some weird shit is going down at this academy and he wants like a spy on the inside. I am thoroughly enjoying this so far. I love Viz as a main character. He is like the perfect amount of smart, but like still makes mistakes. I also love the friendships that Viz has been making while he's at the school. Like he has this one friend, Carlotis, who I do wish he wanted to kiss. He does have a crush on one of the girls at the school and I'm kind of like, whatever, boring. Despite the length of this book, I feel like I've been reading for 5 minutes. I've been reading it very slow over the course of a week, but I'm also coming out of having a reading slump. It's been a bad time for me. I only read 1 book in the entire month of November, and so I've been kind of savoring this book, but I am trying to speed it up and finish it, so the next time I update you, I probably will be done with it. But I just wanted to come to say that I'm pleasantly surprised by how much I like this.
I'm so upset it happened so suddenly. I can't even talk about what it was. But I've been trying to finish the audiobook for a while, and I kept putting it off because I was like, I feel like this thing is gonna happen. I was just trying to wash my dishes and mind my business. Also, I look like a rat right now. A literal rat.
Okay, I don't know if that crying, screaming, throwing up clip was any indication, but I'm giving this book 5 stars. I loved it. I loved it so much. I can't believe how much I liked this. I truly thought that you were just gonna be a boy fantasy. I was so rude. I'm so sorry to my best friend Jimmy. This obviously far exceeded my expectations because my expectations were in hell. I had no expectations for this book. I just truly didn't think this was gonna be good. And I also clearly bought a copy of it. I heard that this cover is going away. There's a new cover going around on the internet. Don't love the looks of it. A little concerned about what the sequel is gonna look like. I think 2025 needs to be my fantasy era because I've been really loving fantasy books lately. There's just something about it. I need to get back into it because back when I used to read YA, I feel like fantasy was my #1 genre, and more recently I feel like horror and like romance and that sort of thing's been my top, and I don't even really like horror that much. I feel like I keep trying to make horror my thing, and then I dislike most horror books that I read. I'm just so happy that I read this. I loved it. I loved it so much. It is going to be going on my favorites list, which I actually think is going to come out before this vlog. This vlog has been taking me a really long time to film. Like, I've been working on this for multiple weeks. I'm just very behind. Let's talk about what I'm gonna be doing next, because I put Bride on hold at my library and it was taking a long while for it to come in. It is a very popular book. So it just came through, the audiobook. I got it on Libby. And so I'm gonna start that next. Now let me say, I'm a little nervous to read an Ali Hazelwood book because I've never read one before, and I have heard such mixed things about her. On the one hand, we have people treating Ali Hazelwood like she's their Emily Henry, like they're obsessed with her, they read everything she does. And then on the other hand, we have people who are like, oh my god, her books are overrated, they're really poorly written, they're really cringy. So I've always felt like I was going to land on that side based on some like quotes and things I've heard about them. Also, from what I know, this is Omegaverse Light, which doesn't bother me because I actually did a whole video where I read Omegaverse books, and I assume that this is not going to be that serious. I feel like the guy's just gonna have like a knot on his dick and that's gonna be the extent of it. So I am going in with very low expectations, and we'll just have to see how the cookie crumbles. Good afternoon, and thank you all so much for joining me. As many of you may know, before today, I had never read an Ali Hazelwood book. I must admit that I avoided her books at all costs, and frankly, told many people that I'd probably hate them. I've always heard that they are egregiously millennial, and that they lean too heavily on the "he's so big and I'm just so small" trope. And most of all, I have heard that her writing is bad. But I have gathered you all here today to apologize and acknowledge that I was too hasty in my assumptions. I'd like to announce that Bride may just be one of my favorite romances that I've read all year. I am deeply ashamed and very sorry for whatever hurt my assumptions may have caused. I hope that you may accept me into the fandom with an open heart, open mind, and open arms. Sorry. Thank you all so much for being here today and hearing what I had to say. Your grace and understanding means more than you could ever know. That's all. Sorry, no questions. Okay, besties, I'm putting you in my kitchen cabinet again, but I'm not crying this time. And I'm just here to tell you the breaking news, as you already may know, that I love Bride. I love it. I love it. I think it's so cute. I stayed up so late last night listening to it on audio, and I am already 75% of the way through, and I cannot get over how cute this is. I think starting with Ali Hazelwood's paranormal romance was perfect for me. This book is giving me so much nostalgia. It's reminding me so much of when I read the Karen Marie Moning series, Dark Fever, like the Fever series or whatever. It's also giving me CW, Vampire Diaries vibes, which I personally love. For those of you who don't know the plot, we have a vampire and a werewolf who have to get married for an alliance between the two species. And the female main character, Misery, is convinced that Lo doesn't like her because every time he's around her, he seems like he's in pain, like he doesn't like the smell of her, which, by the way, giving very much Edward and Twilight vibes because he actually thinks she smells amazing. And so there's a lot of like miscommunication in the beginning of her just like not really understanding that he does like her, and it's so
cute. It's tropey in some ways, but I don't even care. I don't even care. I was really expecting to find Ali Hazelwood's writing really cringy because of how much people said it was like millennial and lame. Maybe it's because I am a millennial, but I really like it. The tension between these two characters is just chef's kiss. It's so good. The way that it builds and builds and builds leading into like the first sex scene is so good. And also the Omegaverse stuff, like I was thinking, isn't very intense. It's very much like Baby's first Omegaverse. Anyway, I just wanted to pop in and let you guys know how much I've been loving it. I feel like I haven't really said anything that thoughtful, but I just need you to know that I'm loving these characters and their dynamic, and the paranormal elements, like the world building, is actually really good. It's really, really good. And I love like the feud between the vampires and the werewolves and like explanation of like the science and the this and the that. It's very good, and I just got to a part, a twist that I didn't see coming, because one of the big mysteries in this is that Misery's best friend went missing. Like she grew up with this human girl as her best friend, and she's been missing, and that's actually what led her into marrying the werewolf. There was like a whole series of events where she's like trying to find her friend, and so she had to go into werewolf territory, and we just had some big reveals regarding her friend that I did not see coming, and I'm loving. I'm loving. I am. Has it been multiple months since I last updated this vlog? Perhaps it has. It might be March of 2025 when I'm speaking to you now, but that's okay because we're going to wrap this up. We're going to wrap it up. I never told you my final thoughts on Bride, but I did end up giving it 5 stars. It went on my honorable mentions list, which I put on Patreon. The only reason I didn't put it on my absolute favorites list of the year was because I kind of waited too long between when I started it and when I finished it. So I filmed that one vlog update immediately after I had read like 75% of it, like binged it. And then I proceeded to not read it for a few weeks because I was wanting to film some more in the moment vlog clips. And then I had to give up that dream. And then I went on to finish it and then never even tell you guys what I thought of it. But I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. The sequel was recently announced and I will be going feral for it. I will be one of the werewolves going feral. Absolutely howling at the moon. Excited to read that. I don't really have much more to say about it because I did rant and rave about it already in this video. But now I have moved on to new books, and that is First Live Wins by Ashley Elston. Is that her name? I'm gonna look that up. Oh, that is her name. I got it correct. Thank you. I appreciate myself for getting that right. Anyway, I'm listening to that on audiobook right now. I think I'm like halfway through and I am loving. I don't think I really knew what this was about beyond that it was about a woman who is lying about her identity and like living a false life. And so when we open this book, we have our main character, Evie. She is on a job. So she works for this like really powerful man, and she kind of goes in and like procures information and does all this stuff, like very like spy energy, criminal energy. Her current mark is a guy that she's actually starting to fall in love with. I actually said recently in a video that I was desperate for some thrillers that weren't domestic thrillers, and I was a little nervous at first when it was like her living with this guy that she's falling in love with. I was like, oh no, this is gonna be like kind of domestic, but it's not. It's very much spy espionage. If this continues on the trajectory that it's going, I actually think this might end up being my first 5-star of the year. So I have some depressing news. I have only read 5 books so far this year. I read, I believe 3 in January and 2 in February. And so this would be my first book I finished since February. So that would be great news for me. And I think it might be a 5-star because everything else has been, I think like a 3 or a 4-star. I guess I read Atomic Habits, which is a nonfiction. And if I had to rate that, I would give that like a 4.5, 5. So I'm excited to see where the rest of this book takes me. I have some things that I need to do today. It's currently 5 p.m. on Sunday, and I actually have the last of my improv class. I am a millennial woman that has been taking improv class for the last 8 weeks, and so today's our last class. We're gonna go to drinks after, so that's gonna be fun. I've really been enjoying this improv class, like even more than I kind of expected. I've been taking it with my friend Katie, the one that's like sometimes in my videos, and I feel like we've both been learning a lot, and it's been very fun. I think I want to take level 2 later in the future. I did take an improv class like 10 years ago, but it's been a long time and I took it at a different theater. And so this one has been very different than the one I took a while ago. I actually think I like this one better because it kind of started with more like foundational things. And so yeah, I have been zip zap zopping as well as yes handing. So that's what I've been up to. Also, you might be looking at this blank wall behind me and be like, where the fuck are you, Sarah? I kind of forgot to address that when I first started this clip, but I actually moved recently. That was a huge reason why I haven't been super active online. I was moving. I was also like terribly sick. I had a cold for like over 3 weeks. I was like so sick for a while and that was really terrible. Also, my sister came to visit. I was moving. There was a lot going on, but I'm now sitting in my new office and I haven't set up like my decor yet, like behind my desk, but I will kind of give you guys a sneak peek at the office. I will be doing a video kind of dedicated to decorating my office. Oh my God, I didn't even think about this lamp being in the way. Okay, actually, let me lift this up. Okay, there we go. This is the current state of my office. It's not looking too great, but I am gonna be putting that together quite soon. So, TBD on that. Okay, besties, it's time for you to go in my cabinet again, except for this time we're in my new house. I just didn't think the white wall I was filming in front of earlier was giving, so I thought I'd mix it up. Now, is this a good shot? Probably not, but you know, it's casual. Here we are, we're chatting in my kitchen. I'm just loving my new place. I haven't shown much of it to you guys yet. I think I filmed
in front of my fireplace for like a sponsorship for my last video. But other than that, I haven't really done that much. I don't know. I just want to show you guys. And I want to update you on First Light Wins because I finished it and I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It's not a 5-star, so unfortunately it can't be my first 5-star of the year, but I am going to give it 4.5 stars. It was so delightful, so good. If you're looking for something that isn't a domestic thriller, then I highly recommend this. Also, if you've ever liked the show Alias with Jennifer Garner, I think you'd like this just because of all the espionage and fake identity and sort of thing. And the romance in this kind of slayed. I really was into the romance. And a bunch of the reveals that happened at the end, I was really here for. Like, I predicted some, and then other ones I didn't see coming. And I ended up really enjoying it. It was so fun. And I want to read more from this author. I looked it up and apparently this is her debut adult novel. And I can't wait to see what else she writes, because if she continues in this vein of like creative thrillers, then I definitely think she could be a new favorite for me. But I loved this and I would highly recommend it. I'm so excited that I picked it up. Do my bookshelves look like shit? Yeah, they absolutely do. But we're making progress over here. I'm actually getting surgery soon, so I'm not really going to be able to reorganize these for a little bit. I just wanted to get the books out of the suitcases they were in and up on the shelves. One very sad thing that happened is that when they were in the suitcases, they actually got damaged because I left the suitcases like standing up straight and all the books were like pushing down on each other. And so a lot of the dust jackets got bent and like some of the paperbacks, and that was a really unfortunate thing that I did. So I will not probably be moving my books in suitcases again unless I plan to unpack them immediately when I bring them over, or keep them like laying down like on the side. So that is an unfortunate thing that happened, but we're making progress over here. I just unfortunately cannot really lock into a complete bookshelf reorganization until I recover from surgery, because I'm not going to be able to do any like strenuous activity for a while. I'm actually getting 2 surgeries. It's a lot. But anyway, another thing that I did is I took a trip to TJ Maxx, Ross, and Marshalls. There is an area nearby that has all 3 of those, and I locked the fuck in. I did a lot of shopping. I did a lot of shopping all day, and so I was actually listening to Out on a Limb by Helena Bonham Carter. No, that's the actress. It's on the screen. So Helena Bonham Young, is that her name? I made a lot of progress in this. I honestly think I'm about 75% of the way through this, because when I say I've been shopping all day, I mean I've been shopping all day. I actually bought this sweater and this little top that I'm wearing with a little rosette. Very cute. Out on a Limb is about these 2 main characters, Win and Bo, who meet at a Halloween party and they have a one-night stand. And unfortunately, when they do that, they don't have contraception. And so Win ends up getting pregnant. And so now they're in a complicated situation where they kind of had this like no strings attached situation. And now there are very much strings attached to the situation. Now, something about me is that I don't like children, and I surely don't like pregnancy. Surprise pregnancy is one of my least favorite tropes of all time. Like, if you do that in a romance book, I'm probably not going to rate it very high. But I had a feeling that if I went into a book knowing that the main character was going to be pregnant, it might feel different. And so far I can say that that is true. This book is actually pretty wholesome. There are some issues that I have with it, but overall it is fairly cute. Like, I don't think this is going to get higher than like a 3-star rating for me, but I definitely would be interested in reading more from this author. I think something that's really frustrating me about this book is that the biggest conflict is that Win and Bo think that the other one like doesn't like them, if that makes sense. Like, Win is like, Bo doesn't like me, and Bo's like, I don't think Win likes me, but they're literally living together. But so far her being pregnant doesn't really bother me in the book. It's actually kind of cute. I will say I can be happy for other people when they're pregnant. I just don't normally love children in books. Like, I don't know. Now that I'm talking about this, actually one of the surgeries that I'm getting is to get my tubes removed. So that just goes to show how much I'm not really like a kid person, but overall it hasn't really been negatively impacting the story. I'm mostly just frustrated with the characters being kind of stupid about their feelings, but the banter is very fun. I think that Bo is a really good love interest. Like, he's very doting, he's very kind, and I love a nice guy main character. I really do, because enough with the bad boys. I'm not really a bad boy, be mean to the female main character kind of fan girl. Like, I don't really like that. I like when the man is groveling at the girl's feet and he's like, please love me. And that is very much what Bo is giving. So far I'm really liking this. I, again, don't think it's gonna be my favorite book of all time, which is unfortunate because I am still in search of my first 5-star read of the year, but it is a good time. It's a good time. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. I will say it feels tremendously long for the type of romance it is. Like, it feels like it just keeps going and going and going. Like, I've already read 75%, but then I'm like, how do you have more to say? All right, guys, it's been a few days and I have finished Out on a Limb, and I just know I didn't love this book because it took me so many days to finish. I feel like when I'm really loving a romance, I want to read it in like 1 or 2 sittings. Oh my god, that was so hard for me to say. It just felt too long. It felt too long. And by the time they confessed their love for each other, I was like, wrap this up, wrap it up. Both wrap up your penis so you don't get a random girl pregnant, and also wrap it up like the book. Just like, wrap it up. I'd still be curious to read another book by this author. I think that it was cute overall and I did really like the banter. So I think I'm gonna settle with a 3-star rating, maybe even like 3.5 stars. I don't know. It's definitely like the higher end of a 3. Like, I don't know if it's quite like a 3.5, but it's the higher end. But I don't know, that kind of wraps up this vlog. It's been a few months in the making, just a few, quite a few. And it's been unfortunate. It's been unfortunate how long this has taken me to film, edit. It's barely relevant anymore, but hopefully you still had a good time watching it. When this video will be posted, I more than likely will be 1 week out from getting my tubes removed. I never said what the second surgery was, but I'm getting my tubes removed now, like this week, and then in a few weeks in April, I'm actually getting a cyst removed out of my wrist. So I'm getting surgery twice, and I actually put them together on purpose because I wanted my recovery time to be less, but it's gonna be quite the journey for me because I hate needles and surgery and medical things of all kinds. So it's gonna be very stressful. So when you're watching this, I've gone and I've done the first surgery, and I will report back later at some point what that experience was for me. Maybe I'll talk about it more in depth because I feel like getting your tubes removed is a very topical topic for a lot of women who want control over their bodies in the current political climate. All in all, this video was a major success. I kind of forgot partway through that this video was supposed to be like divisive books. Like, are these good or are they bad? Because I absolutely loved the first 3 books, and this last book, I genuinely did still like it. It just was like not my favorite in the world, so I kind of get why one person might not like it. But the first 3, I had a great time. I actually don't know what you guys would not like about it. I'm trying to think. Like, The Will of the Many, 8, Bride, 8, First Light Wins, 8. They were all good. If you've made it to the end of this video and you enjoyed it, feel free to use a heart emoji in your comments because I need some love sent my way after I get surgery. So I'd love to see that from you guys. I thank you all so much for watching. You're all beautiful. Have a nice day.